I've recently found myself digging more into my retro gaming collection. There's something refreshing about starting a console. You don't have to wait 20 minutes for a software update. Then if you haven't played the game in a while, you don't have to wait for another software update for whatever game you decide to play. I'm kind of tired of all these free-to-play, oversaturated, broken releases that fit every square inch of your screen with crap to buy. It has been a fun nostalgia trip revisiting some childhood games, and has been great to see how well some older titles have held up. The core service felt better back then because it was more straightforward and less intrusive as a consumer. The 6th generation had games that truly felt ahead of their time. A few years ago, I decided to buy the first gaming console I've ever owned as a child, the original Xbox, which then led me down the rabbit hole of the consoles of that era. Who else remembers sitting on the couch playing minigames on Fusion Frenzy, fighting off waves of droids on Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and experiencing the most life-changing story? Yeah, that's right, you guessed it. Tetris.
Fellow citizens, we are facing the ultimate crisis.
If you had an older brother, you have core memories of playing split-screen multiplayer and the campaign on the game that made the console. Welcome back to Two Average Brothers, Gift22 here. Let's take a look at the rise of online multiplayer in the 6th generation. This generation was the early days of online gaming for consoles and brought forward much innovation, a lot of which Sega doesn't get their fair share of credit for. So, let's take a look at the online services provided by Sega. Sega was the first to market in the 6th generation with the release of the Dreamcast. Sega took a major bet that Microsoft would capitalize on, to greater success than anyone could anticipate as the new player in the video game market. With the buzz of the dot-com bubble, the Dreamcast was the first console shipped with a built-in modem to support online multiplayer. They hoped this would give them an edge over the much-anticipated PlayStation 2. But, as we all know now, despite the foresight and innovation they showed, it just wouldn't be enough. Sega did not have a unified service for online multiplayer. They relied on separate independent services. This would complicate the service between every region, and it would cause dissatisfaction at the end of the service's life cycle. Sony would also follow through with the regional model with the release of the PS2 in 2000. Now, let's take a look at the first online service that was provided by Sega. Drycast would be released in Japan and developed by Sega ISAO Corporation. It launched the week of October 28th in 1998 before the console even hit shelves in Japan. Drycast would flex Sega's technical prowess, with users being able to send emails and include images and videos in their email through the dial-up internet on the console. In late April of 2000, Dream Passport 3 would be released, which included the Dream Library service. It allowed users to play and emulate Mega Drive and PC Engine games for a daily rental fee. Modern day equivalent that stands out to something like this is Game Pass. What a truly groundbreaking idea and service that they were able to provide back in the early 2000s. It just seems like in a way they were managing to run parallel to Microsoft without being able to keep up with them. Drycast would eventually be consolidated into ISAO.net in March of 2000. Broadband support would follow not too long after, with a broadband adapter being released in Japan. The regional online service for the United States would be SegaNet.
Your fellow Americans. Jack into SegaNet through your
SegaNet launched on September 7th of 2000, almost a year to the day after the console's US release. It was geared towards dial-up gaming like their other services. While the service was a short-lived success, it was anything but uneventful. It was created in collaboration with GTE, only to be renamed Genuity as GTE merged with Bell Atlantic to form Verizon Communications. Also, during this time, Sega had a brief partnership with Microsoft to have Excite at Home as the portal for SegaNet, but Microsoft didn't like the direction they were heading in. Well, wonder what that would end up causing in the long run.
Oh my goodness! Squidward!
It's like the saying we had when I played baseball. Competition breeds talent, and here competition was breeding innovation. SegaNet would get as many as 1.5 million subscribers, tapping into its markets in North America, Japan, and Europe, showing the validity of online multiplayer with a $21.95 monthly subscription fee. And one thing gamers definitely loved about SegaNet was its ability to achieve low latency through the product's internal networks while still providing internet access through the Planet web browser. In Europe, Dream Arena was rolled out with the European release of the Dreamcast on October 14th, 1999. And it's fair to say it was messy in Europe. The service was created and operated by Sega Europe in a partnership with ICL, BT, and various internet service providers, each of whom provided crucial roles to the service. ICL developed websites and software, BT provided dial-up capabilities and network infrastructure, and the ISPs for each country would provide the internet dial-up and telephone service. This service was free in Europe through dial-up internet, and it would expand in the area by December of the following year. It was inconsistent with it being free in some areas like the UK and having different prices elsewhere in Europe. God, I bet those bastards really wish they had NordVPN. Wait, don't tap the screen, I'm not sponsored. There's no link in my bio. Things were a disaster after the Dreamcast was discontinued. When new games came out following the discontinuation, not being eligible for online services in certain regions showed some of the holes in a regional-based service. The final online service we're going to go over that Sega would provide was Comma in Australia. On November 2nd, 1999, Sega announced a partnership with Telstra to support an online service in Australia through the regional distributor OZ. The service was getting heavily delayed in Australia, and something that I thought was just hilarious when I was researching this, their internet access disks would be seized by custom officers due to a lack of information about the country of origin. The network wouldn't be available until mid-March of 2000. Sega hoped the Comma web portal would be the new Yahoo, just like they hoped the console would save them. Sega clearly had a vision for what they thought the future of gaming would be. In a lot of ways, they were right. They played it smart, being the first to market at a lower price than the competition, while showing how credible the online gaming market for console users would be. But it just feels like it was a day late, dollar short for them. Their services were hurt from a lack of unification, and the built-in modem would be rendered useless due to the precarious timing of the implementation of broadband connections. The services were deterred from focusing on internet functionality instead of just online gaming, as well as messy regional distribution. Sure, it was cool and novel to be able to access your email and send images and videos, but you're primarily buying this piece of hardware to play the games on it. While it's easy to point out the failures of Sega, we should appreciate the leaps forward they took in innovation with the Dreamcast. They tried something new and risky to keep themselves in the hardware business that laid a strong foundation for the future of online gaming. When you're the first to do something, mistakes are naturally a part of the process. I think the lesson we should take from Sega's story here is never let fear hold back your ambition in the face of incredible odds, because you never know who could benefit from your actions. The PS2 was a highly anticipated console release following the breakout of the PlayStation. On March 4th of 2000, it was released in Japan. Its launch was so successful, it effectively knocked Sega out of the console race and led to the discontinuation of the Dreamcast. Opening day sales for the PS2 reached a total of $250 million, dwarfing Sega's $97 million on the Dreamcast's first day. But for this video, we're interested in their online services. Things were pretty complicated for Sony's online service compared to Sega's. Online play would be the responsibility of the game publisher and third-party services. Later PS2 games required the console to be authorized through Sony's dynamic authentication system before connecting to the server. The console also utilized dial-up internet connection and broadband for LAN connections. Sony would get with the times and require most new releases to require broadband internet connection. The fat PS2 would have an expansion to support broadband connection. It's also not much of a surprise that Sony wouldn't be too heavily invested into their online multiplayer services when they're mostly well known for their single-player experiences. In Japan, online services were rolled out in the first year from third-party 56K modems. With all the hype for the PS2 and growth surrounding the internet, plenty of companies seemed eager to expand anywhere they could. Now, this was just something I thought was fascinating and pretty well ahead of its time. I'm not the biggest RTS fan in the world, but I loved me some Age of Empires back in the day. A company called Ouya released a preloaded modem with a software called NetFront. Through the service, you could play Age of Empires 2, a PC game, on your PS2. And if you think that's crazy, Age of Empires 2 had a specific keyboard and mouse compatibility. How wild is that to think of? Because this is something that Xbox has more recently done. They added keyboard and mouse compatibility starting with the Xbox One. This also seems like an equivalent to people putting Linux on their consoles so they can have access to Steam. You can really see a lot of the ground that was being laid for the future of gaming. Now, this era did seem more like a Wild West, having third-party services and regional providers. While there were drawbacks, all of the competition forced innovation that was well ahead of its time, and it's had an everlasting impact since. Things may be a little messy and confusing, but I would definitely say we are better off for it. Sony Computer Entertainment even hopped on the trend and created something impressive and innovative that is still commonplace today. In April of 2002, PlayStation BB service was launched in Japan. It was used via a broadband connection, and it included a service called Broadband Navigator, which allowed users to download PS2 software titles, download media, and play music and video using Real Player. This also included instant messaging. Seems like a good basis for what would become the future groundwork for PlayStation Network. Now, let's take a trip to America. North America received online services for the PS2 on August 27th of 2002. Through various providers, there were web services, chat, email, and other internet services. Seems like the only thing Sega and Sony were missing at the time to get their hands on the American gaming public was being able to watch TV.
TV and movies, TV. Watch TV.
Online services in Europe would start around 2003. This was still an era for testing, and the test kits in Germany would include a network adapter, a disc, a copy of SOCOM US Navy SEALs, and a USB headset. It was a great way to get the community involved, sending out some free games during the beginning of their online services. You should show your appreciation for the people that support your product. It was really fun diving into the online services of the PS2, since I was a kid who grew up with an original Xbox. It was successful enough to the point where the final server was shut down in 2016 for Final Fantasy XI. In this generation, Sony showed the importance of progression. The PS1 was a massive success, and they were looking to take it to another level. Never be satisfied with good enough, because you're always capable of more is the lesson to take from this story. Microsoft would release their debut console on November 15th of 2001. The main reason for their decision to enter the video game market was the PS2. It became a home entertainment device with the ability to play DVDs and CDs, thus threatening personal computers. One reason why the Xbox was so beloved in North America was it had the full backing of Microsoft and had some extremely memorable marketing. The console would sell about 16 million units in North America, and it sold a total of 24 million units globally. As we discussed, Sega took much more of an attempt at the online gaming space than Sony. This is something that would become synonymous with Xbox. Xbox Live would officially launch on November 15th of 2002 as a fee-based service, but the ensuing phenomenon was shaped on launch day thanks in large part to one game. Halo Combat Evolved. What really sells consoles? Your mom. Games. Halo was an industry-defining release, and just what Microsoft needed at the release to grow their new brand. If you're a late 90s or early 2000s kid, you definitely remember playing split-screen multiplayer and going through the campaign on co-op with your friends, family members, your mom. The 4-player split-screen multiplayer could be taken to another level thanks to the console's broadband internet connection. This took it from the couch to full-out parties and a major part of the college dorm experience at the time. They had a mascot and a service to associate themselves with. Xbox Live on the OG would become what we know it now today through various updates and shape the future of the service for Xbox. The Xbox was a great case study in learning your history so you don't repeat the same mistakes. They were able to grow from the mistakes of the Dreamcast, and they were right to take a bet on broadband while their competitors were still juggling between dial-up internet and broadband for their online services. The unification in this, along with Xbox Live being a unified service, made things a lot less complicated. This unity led to a tremendous amount of innovation like voice communications, friends lists, and gamer tags while still being able to send messages. And the service was also very consistent through the release of every game. The Xbox would be shipped with a broadband connection integrated into the console as well as an internal hard drive. This made access easier for downloadable content and voice communications on the service. I was about 5 years old when Xbox Live launched in 2002, and I never got to experience it back in the day. Being the youngest of 4, you would think my parents would be used to older kids bullying me.
Use my shield.
Taking it to the internet would have been too far. My mom's a decent woman. Xbox Live was crushing it out of the gates, gaining 1 million subscribers in 2 years. With the hype of Live and Halo, people were waiting to see what Halo 2 would add to the service. The industry would be changed forever with the release of Halo 2 on November 9th of 2004. Halo 2 gained over $125 million on its launch day, making it the highest grossing release in entertainment history at the time. It was groundbreaking with its online multiplayer. Halo 2 brought in matchmaking instead of manually joining lobbies. This is standard now because of Halo 2. Online matchmaking also led to clans, Bungie posted leaderboards on their websites, and there was a ranking progression system. All of these things are now considered standard, and it all traces back to Halo 2. Around this time, Xbox would release an influential digital storefront called Xbox Live Arcade on November 6th of 2004. Once again, Microsoft took learning from other people's mistakes and foresight in this generation because now we use a digital storefront on just about everything. This would be a great place for independent developers and smaller release titles. The very foundation of the Xbox was being developer friendly, and the focus was yet again honed in here. However, you would have to get the disc to download the storefront onto your console. In total, the first iteration of this service would see 38 titles released. Xbox Live for the OG would shut down on April 15th of 2010 in a bid to get users to upgrade to the 360, but it wouldn't go down without a fight. Who remembers the tale of the Noble 14? They've become folk legends amongst the gaming community. They stayed connected to Halo 2's service for as long as possible. If they got disconnected from the service, it was game over. In total, the group went for 26 days after the official shutdown. The final member of the group made it up to May 11th of 2010. The story of the Xbox along with its live service is truly bold and inspiring. They went into the video game market, which is very difficult to enter. They showed you should always be willing to try something new. It is also a valuable lesson in studying your history so you don't repeat mistakes made by those who came before you, so you can have better decision making in your future. They advanced a field they were new to entering and created a die-hard fan base. The Xbox was home to creativity and experimentation, and that's reflected by the library of games available on the console. The story just tells me we should never be afraid to leave our comfort zones. If we want something badly enough, we should be willing to go after it. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, I've been more into my retro collection for games. Playing Xbox Live sparked my curiosity for what the rest of the industry looked like during this time. In comes Insignia. For those of you who don't know what Insignia is, it is a free service that reverse engineered the online infrastructure for Xbox Live. The best part? It's free. No credit card. No bullshit. I never imagined I would get to experience Xbox Live. This service highlights the importance of game preservation. I want to do what I can to spread the word about this project. Xbox Live has returned in all of its glory since the service was shut down in 2010. Insignia was publicly launched in November of 2022 for its public beta, and they have been making non-stop progress in their mission to have the complete library of games that was on Xbox Live available for the service. At the time of recording this video, there were 199 games supported with over 24,000 registered users. The original Xbox was such a great place for wacky games that weren't afraid to try something new, and this console offered so many unique experiences, many of which became available for Live. I always wonder what some games like Crimson Skies High Road to Revenge, Star Wars Republic Commando, Conker's Live and Reloaded, and Halo 2 were like on Xbox Live, just to name a few. I know what you're saying. Halo 2 is on the Master Chief Collection, and you can play it there. That is true, but it still left me wondering how Bungie's original infrastructure for the game looked. There's something to be said about experiencing a product the way the original creators intended for it to be. Not to mention, Halo 2's MCC port was the Windows Vista version from 2007, and not the console version from 2004. So there are some differences in the game under the hood. Halo 2 is one of my top 3 games of all time. I remember when it was released. I thought it was the best looking game visually that I've ever seen. Dual wielding weapons was like the most badass thing ever. Seeing the inner workings of the Covenant expanded the narrative to new boundaries. And I remember the first time playing as the Arbiter and my mind just being blown. I would always use the playable elites in couch co-op multiplayer. Then finally, in Halo 2, you can use the energy sword and the fuel rod cannon, along with so many new additions. Halo 2 introduced me to what would become my favorite band, Breaking Benjamin. The instrumentals for Blow Me Away on the Level the Grave Mine was the most adrenaline-pumping, sweat-fest engaging feeling I had as a young gamer. It seems like there's a random cult following of people who have Breaking Benjamin and Halo as one entity, and it's awesome. Breaking Benjamin will still post about Halo 2. Fun fact, they made the song for free just because they wanted it to be in the game. All of this made me so excited to experience Bungie's original version of Halo 2 from 2004, and wow, they were so damn innovative. I know you hear about it, but seeing all of it and playing it just puts it into new perspective. And shout out to Insignia for making it so easy to download maps. Just go to the DLC and start downloading it. This goes for other games on the service as well. You can download the DLC without having to chase down more files. Look at the beauty of Halo 2. Friends, clans, messaging, custom games, everything the series would become known for under Bungie. It's really crazy to experience how ahead of the game Xbox was with their debut console. There's nothing like booting up the console and getting that powerful green explosion that tells you you're in for a different gaming experience. I really had a lot of fun just navigating the dashboard to see the keynote features on the Xbox. Let's just send a voice note to someone.
I wonder what my friends are up to today. I got an invitation and someone's online? Alright, let's go. GIF? Let's see. Let's see his voice message. Let's see what he had to say.
Hey, Dad, someone I know had a message for you. Oh, that's right, son. Back in the day, the OG box wasn't the only thing I was playing. I was playing with your mom's to make ma before, ha.
What the hell?
There is such a strong foundation for what Xbox would expand upon with the 360. I found myself popping in random games just to see what their menus looked like for Xbox Live. If you're looking for people to play online with, there's a Discord community from Insignia themselves where they post community announcements, game discussion, and more. If you're a fan of classic Halo, you have to check out Halo Classic Hub. Every Thursday, the community hosts a Halo 2 game night on Insignia, and you can stay up to date on game nights they have for other Bungie Halo titles. I can't wait for them to add MVP Baseball 2005, add Gift 22 on Insignia, and I'll take you deep.
No one's gonna get that one.
I grew up experiencing the 7th generation of gaming when it comes to online multiplayer, and after getting to look back at the 6th generation, it's really hard to ignore all the changes. While we're more connected than ever now, it feels like we've used that connection to stay isolated in our own bubbles. Back in the day, you would have your mic on in a full lobby and chat with everyone and make some friends and also hear what other people have done to your mother. I remember when Uncharted 3 came out, and I made so many friends online from joining a clan. Plus, all the smack talk and sending people messages to talk was a lot of fun. There were also times some of that smack talking led me into 1v1s with people. Now there is such a heavy focus on mic etiquette. I can't play Warzone with my brother without him yelling comms at me like every 5 minutes. If you're in a multiplayer lobby with an open mic trying to talk to people, more often than not, there's just going to be crickets. Some of this is due to party chats and games having lost a party feel, and instead they're just so hyper-focused on everything being competitive. For example, look at Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 compared to Halo 5. Halo 5 was not made for a casual gamer. That also got taken to another level with all the Battle Royale games. By no means am I trying to say that everything now is bad. I'm saying this as a reminder of where we started in the 6th generation. A lot of practices back then felt more pro-consumer and a lot less predatory. Remember a couple years back when some older COD titles were topping the charts yet again? There are similar services to play the Dreamcast and PS2 online. I spend a lot of time with the Xbox because it's what I've gotten to experience, and Insignia by far is the most intuitive. When I was researching some topics for this video, you often see so many people having a melancholy surrounding this era and how these days are gone. While that's true in a sense that, yes, you have grown up and life is different, but when it comes to games, nothing has to be over. There are plenty of fan-made servers and projects similar to Insignia, so you can always experience whatever you value. If you feel like a certain era is better than what you are getting now, then let it be known through what you choose to consume. The industry is reliant on us, so we will get what we demand. Never forget where we came from and be conscious about your consumerism. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. Please do yourself a favor and get Insignia. Add me, Gift22 on there. If you have any memories of Xbox Live, let us know down below. Also, feel free to share some of your memories of the 6th generation. Your mom.